Assalamu alaikum students. In today's class we are going to read the poem Moonwind by Ted Hughes. The poem is basically an imaginary poem. It is a fantasy, it is a kind of poet's fantasy. He has written the poem in his imagination while considering the earth-like life on moon, and he is describing the attributes of the moon's wind, that what would it do to the life if we have earth-like life on the moon. And it basically describes the scenario, or he tries to draw a picture of what will happen there if we go to the moon and live the earth-like life over there. So starting, you guys please take out your books in front of you and look at the poem while I'm explaining the poem to you. Moonwind by Ted Hughes is full of poet's fantasy imagery. As you all know that there will be or there cannot be a life, earth-like life on moon because of the certain scientific reasons. So it is a total fantasy imagery. He imagines that if there were earth-like life on moon, everything would be blown by the strong wind blowing there. The poet imagines a burning candle on moon would shiver in spite of the total silence. A giant tent would be blown away by the moon wind, which looked like a huge swan flying over the sea. Now the poet is describing you the condition of moon life with its strong, hard, harsh wind blowing over there. Still it is silent, it is not making any kind of sound or such thing like this, because of the in silence the wind would blow everything present on the moon. If anyone would stand in the street, a squall of hen and cabbages would knock off your feet. He's saying that if you are standing on a street, let's suppose that if you're standing in a street, suddenly a group of hen and cabbages would come from one side and will hit your feet, as if if we are standing between wind, like if it is going to rain, and before that we experience harsh winds, and in that certain type of materials such like plastics and all these lightweight things revolve around us due to the wind. It is like that phenomena. If anyone would stand in the street, a squall of hen and cabbages would knock off your feet, and we all know that this is not going to happen, or this does not happen even on earth, that if you are standing in the street and something hard or something very heavy would hit you, unless a very harsh or a very unconventional type of storm is there. So the next is, he also imagines that if one would be on moon, the moon wind will lift the pond water as a sheet and hit you with it, carrying frogs in it. He's saying like that if you are standing in front of a pond or in front of a lake, the water would come in front of you like a sheet on the wire, like on a sheet you hang on the terrace. Just suppose it like that it would become in front of you like that, and it will hit you, and it will have frogs and all other species living in that water. So this is total imagery. This is total imaginary. The poet is just creating a picture of it. It is not something real. It is fantasy. The moon wind lift off a caravan. A Ferris wheel would appear to be jumping in the sky like a somersaulting giraffe. A Ferris wheel is during the fun phase in our village life, or in some part of small towns, you must have seen a big wheel revolving in the fun fair. You also enjoy its ride. It's a big spinning wheel which could be seen from a long distance. So he's saying that it would be jumping in the sky, and it would be somersaulting like a giraffe. So we all know that this is not something real. And the next, the poet imagines that the moon wind is so strong that it could rip apart anything held by roots, nails, and screws. Like if there is something, you can say that the door would ripped apart by the wind of the moon, so that it is so strong. So this is all imagery thing in the poet for fantasy. He has created an imagery while using beautiful words and in a beautiful way, using different figure of speech. I have noted down some figure of speech that is used in the poem. The first is oxymoron and the other one is simile. Oxymoron, what is conjoining contradictory terms, like you are writing two different words which has different meaning from one another, conjoining contradictory opposite meaning, such as deafening, silence. Now deafening mean very loud, very intense, very loud, that cannot be bearable by a normal person, and silence is which is the presence of no sound. So you see, the poet is joining two opposite things in this, that the poet says utter stillness. When there is a fast wind, there could not be utter stillness. There would be a chaos. There would be something, disturbance. There could not be utter stillness, but still poet has combined these words. So this is what we call oxymoron, like bright darkness. Now bright is something else. Bright is presence of light, and darkness is absence of light. So these are something opposite. So poet has combined these words. So this is we call oxymoron. Dark sunlight. Now you all know that sunlight could not be dark. Sunlight is a kind of is the brightest thing on the face of this earth, so it cannot be dark. Or cold flames. You all know that flames are not cold. Flames are very hot. They have burning effect, and cold is something very relieving and something very very not hot. So this is also kind of oxymoron. The next one is simile, a figure of speech that expresses a resemblance between things of different kinds, usually formed with like or as, such as. It is basically a kind of comparison using the word like and word as. The examples are, you were as brave as a lion. I could have said that you are brave, but using a figure of speech simile, I would have said it in a way that you were as brave as a lion. I am comparing your braveness with a lion, because lion is also a sign of bravery. They fought like cats and dogs. So we could have said that they fought hardly, they fought very roughly, but using a figure of speech, we compare them with cats and dogs, like they fought like cats and dogs. So student, this was today's lecture. You are advised to note down your work on your notebook. I have been seeing that the students are not doing their works on the notebook. So please do complete your work on the notebook, because ultimately you will have to face the music, because you will have to complete your notebook. So this is I would prefer that you do the work along the lectures, day-to-day routine. Instead of doing it in one go, it would be much harder than you. So do your work accordingly to your notebooks, and listen the lectures carefully. Try to understand it, because when you are going to come to school, I am going to ask you things in the lecture I have just explained you. Okay, if you have any issue regarding your lecture understanding, you are more than welcome. You can come to school and ask me. I will explain you the problems you have. Thank you so much. Have a good day.